What's going on YouTube? It's Roger here from the Kind Reef, and I had another video idea that I put up on Facebook. So if you guys ever want any input on what I should do on Facebook or upload to YouTube, just go ahead and head over to my Facebook page. I ask a lot of you guys what type of videos you want to see, and I get some feedback. Sometimes I don't, but if you do want a little bit of input, go ahead, head over to my Facebook page. I'm way more active there. But anyway, got this idea from uploading my newest full tank shot, and I realized just how different it looked from the day I started. So what this video is, it's going to take you through the progressions from the day I set up the tank in March of 2013. I don't have a lot of pictures from the 2013, 2014 era, but after a while I do consistently get some full take shots taken at least every 2 or 3 months. Towards the end I've been getting pretty consistent monthly updates, but this will kind of be a little blurb about each month, kind of the challenges I faced, and it'll be a little bit of nostalgic for me because I'll be able to see just how, big things got or when my things died and stuff like that. So that being said, enjoy the video, guys. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, video recommendations, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section below. And enjoy the video, guys. Alright, so the first year is 2013. I started this tank in March of 2013. So here it is, day one. Just got it up there. So I don't even think it's plumbed in this picture. But yeah, right after this, I started moving stuff over. I lost a bunch of those pictures, but the next picture I have is from 2.5 weeks later, which is the initial start of moving some of the stuff over. And one of the big problems I had was getting all the nutrients back because the tank was so clean, which is ultimately bit me in the butt. But I'm also missing a bunch of pictures from the rest of 2013, so we're going to jump right into 2014. So these first two pictures are from mid-January, of 2014, and ultimately my goal for the beginning of the tank was just to get the nutrients back in the water, because you can see the sand is crystal. This is a few months after startup, and the sand's crystal clear. There's no algae on the glass. It was just not, there was no nutrients in the water, so things were actually starving. So this first couple months were just trying, after I have all that coral, all those colonies, just trying to get nutrients back into the water so I didn't lose anything. Ultimately, I lost about 99% of my acros down to frags, down to I don't even have a lot of these major colonies anymore. I ended up pulling all of them out in February. So this is February of 2014, and this has, I think, one little acro frag in it. And that was just, a glimmer of hope for me. I called it the stick of hope on Nano Reef. I don't know if you guys remember that. But that was my one acro. Everything else was non-acro, ceratopore, or monopore based. And I went like that for a few months. So this is March. And as you can see, the glass is really clean. The sand is really clean. There's just not a lot of nutrients in the water. So that was my goal. I went to online forums and I decided to go the Zeovit route to add some of those nutrients back into the water. Ultimately, the best decision I ever made. I still use that stuff. I will always use that stuff. So this is late March, and this is when I got my first new test acro. I got a pink millipora, which is on the right-hand side of that overflow box there. That was the first piece. I kind of could test. I could see some algae growing on the grass. I could see some, detritus, some dirt in the tank, and that's what ultimately. Sorry, I'm using that word a lot. Really, what I needed. So this is mid-May, and this is kind of just on autopilot, just seeing how things go, testing out, how much to dose and that kind of stuff. I didn't really change too much except for the Zeovit dosing here. And then in mid-June, which is this picture, I started kind of letting it do its thing. I didn't want to buy anything new, but also had some stuff in the frag tank that I needed to get out of the frag tank because I was tearing it down to move. So this is just kind of throwing stuff in there to see if it stayed. By July, which is this picture, I actually started restocking acros. So you can see I have my green slimer, I have a tenuous, I have the Catropora, I have my blueberry gomezii. All that stuff started getting moved back in. And here's when I took up the 4 island pillars that I named my Nano Reef thread off of. So this next picture is from September of 2014, and this is an iPhone picture from my parents, and this is when stuff just started to really take off, Anemones are doing well, my big acros are doing well, my monis are turning green, or all monis turning green, some of them are red. Stuff's really starting to take off. And then this last picture of 2014 was when I came home for Christmas, and this picture that you'll see in the 2015 picture, this looks way different just a couple days later. But this is the end of 2014, and this is when I finally have everything figured out. So now let's jump into 2015. Okay, so this is year 2015 for the Klein Reef. So this first picture is a major overhaul from the December picture that you just saw. So the end of the year now, I got it completely redid it. This is when I kind of really tried to define the islands and put the anemones by themselves and really give, you know, that middle pillar that impacted look. So this next picture is from February of 2015, this one, and this is when things just kind of took off, kind of exploded so fast that I had to adjust my dosing rapidly because it would just drain my elk down like really quickly, and I wasn't changing the doser fast enough, and that's when I ran into my next problem. These past couple months have just been trying to keep up with the growth. So this one is from April of 2015. As you can see, my clam's dead. I don't know, I lost all my clams, but everything else was doing really well except for this. The urchin would kept ripping apart my skate. So my anemones are supposed to be higher than my middle pillar, and so that's just the perk of having a urchin. So this one is from May. As you can see, it's starting to get really jumbled again. That was my kind of my goal, is to keep the pillars separated so you can, you know, see these. Why I call my tank the Pillars of Euphoria is that reason for those pillars. This next one is from June, and this is really when the alkalinity problems really start to set in. Things were growing so fast, I really couldn't keep up with it. You'll notice that I have a green slimer colony that looks pretty impressive, but it gets reduced and it actually disappears because it's the first thing to go when alkalinity goes bad, and I just gave up and tossed it. But everything else is doing really well. See, no green slimer, gone. This is when I went home. This is late July, so like the last day of July, like 31st. So basically August, and you can see just growth is good, color is good. Finally got dosing under control. I rebuilt the anemone tower on the right. So this is the last picture I have, August 23rd. And everything is just doing really well. That stag in the middle is just unbeatable. The anemones on the right, the big green bird's nest on the left, which has got to go. Everything's just looking really good. You can see there's dirt on the glass and stuff. So I really firmly believe that having a little bit of excess nutrients in the tank is way better than trying to equal out nutrient import and nutrient export. I really don't think you need a one-to-one balance. If you have a little bit more nutrients than someone says you should, the worst thing that comes to worst is you scrape the glass a little more often, and you get maybe an insignificant amount of slower growth, which I think is just, you know, stupid why that's even justifiable. But now I just want to take the time just to kind of ramble a little bit. A lot of your tanks aren't going to follow the ideal path, and there's been times where I've wanted to rip the tank down, start over, you know, change escape, get new rock, ditch the sand. There's been times where I wanted to just change it all, but my biggest piece of advice is when things start to go south, don't freak out. Take one problem at a time. Problem solve. So things, for example, I was going through a slow tissue necrosis event for so long, and by process of elimination, I kind of figured out, you know, I tested, you know, every day for 3 weeks. My parameters were rock solid, so it wasn't parameters. I did my frequent water changes, so it wasn't an ion imbalance. I don't even know what else there is. I kept my temperature stable. I did everything. Didn't have the lights too high, whatever. And by the end, it was like, oh, I'm not feeding my coral at all, and there's no algae on the glass. Everywhere in the beginning of reef keeping says that you should be battling algae, and I, for some whatever reason, did not connect that. Oh, I just have a clean tank, and I'm going to have healthy SPS. No, sometimes things don't line up perfectly. Sometimes you can't explain why they don't work out perfectly. But my biggest piece of advice is to take one problem at a time, problem solved, figure out, narrow it down onto what's going wrong, or what's going right even too. And this doesn't have to be a negative thing. So if you notice that you're feeding a lot more and colors are getting better, then there's a nice little, positive reinforcement there. Keep feeding your corals. Don't get caught up into all the fads and all that stuff. I will admit that there's stuff that you need to do in order to be successful, but I don't think that every tank needs to be 100% exactly the same across the board. Across forums, they all don't need to be exactly the same to get the same result. You can do the same thing many different ways, many different routines, many different methodologies, many different just routines, and you can be successful. So my big tidbit of advice is to just find your way. Make sure that whatever you're doing to your tank, you can explain to someone newer than you, why you're doing it. So yeah, that's it. I'm done rambling. I'll probably make a rambling video about this later. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna keep this video saved. I'm just gonna kind of keep adding pictures to it, and maybe down the line I'll just stop rambling and I'll just show you guys the progression. But for right now, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, write them down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys later. Head over to my Facebook page if you haven't. I'm almost at 300 likes, so come hang out with me on Facebook, and I'll see you guys later.